Assalamualaikum. For the assignment 3, I would like to present about the section 3, which is the teacher language proficiency. So based on my teacher talk, it is clear that I need to work harder on my grammar, pronunciation and my vocabulary while teaching so that everyone can understand what I utter. From the recording itself, I can hear clearly that my pronunciation, grammar and vocabulary is in average level. Let's see from the first and second episode. I often use an inappropriate term to refer to the students, which is guys. Even though this slang might be used in daily conversation, but it's not professional to use in class, especially when we are addressing to our students. Thus, the suitable term to refer to the students can be everyone, class or students. For example, sorry class, can you see the screen? It will be more appropriate and professional for the teacher to address the students rather than use the word guys. For the next part, in excerpt 3, I have encountered a grammatical error while communicating with the students. It can be seen above, where the picture will be revealed after the question be answered. And okay, who's raising their hands just now? The first error was be answered. In passive voice constructions, the verb to be must match the tense of the main verb and agree with the subject. In this case, the passive voice in the future tense where the verb to be should be is to agree with the singular subject question and not questions. Hence, the correct answer should be the picture will be revealed after the question is answered. For the next sentence, okay, who's raising their hands just now? The present continuous tense used in the sentence is to describe actions happening right now or around the current time. It is formed using am, is, and are plus verb and plus ing. However, the action just happened, which is who raised their hand and it's completed in the past should be the simple past tense. So the correct grammar for the utterance is okay, who raised their hands just now, not okay, who is raising their hands just now, because the word just now referred to past tense and the right term to use in this sentence is raised. Regarding to the assignment, I believe there are more faults in my pronunciation, grammar and vocabulary, which I would like to highlight during the session. From the recording where I taught the students, I could see that I have to be more conscious of the terms I used while teaching so that the students will acquire the correct information and do not misinterpret my teaching. That is all from me. Thank you for listening.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is FAIZ binti HAMZAH. My metric number is D20221101954. And good evening to the subject lecturer, Dr. Noorani binti Zulkifli. I would like to present a reflection on classroom interaction based on our analysis in assignment 2, which is part of individual assignment 3. The lesson that we had conducted is about 1 hour long and designed to enhance students' listening and speaking skills through a discussion on consumerism and financial awareness. After the main lesson, my role involves explaining the task and supervising each group in post-lesson stage as they discuss which items to buy based on a given scenarios. I'll guide them in choosing 5 items within a budget and ensure they articulate their choices and budgets effectively. For the next section is teacher language proficiency. As I reflect on my teacher talk, I acknowledge the need to enhance my proficiency in English, particularly in pronunciation and grammar. Pronunciation has been identified as an area requiring improvement, as evidenced by instances where I struggle with certain words. For example, words like budget and prioritize were mispronounced, affecting clarity and comprehension. Additionally, there were moments where my vocabulary usage could have been more precise, particularly in describing items and their cost. Next is errors in sentence structure. I noticed I made many mistakes in sentence structure, leading to errors in sentence structure and verb tense consistency during explanations of budgeting details. The sentence first one is a birthday cake total cost is RM100, the questions RM50, some drinks, what type of drinks, RM50 and music, DJ and games. Lacks proper structure and clarity. It seems like a list of items with their respective costs, but it is not structured in a grammatically correct way. It should be replaced for clarity, possibly as first we have the birthday cake cost RM100, decorations costing RM50, rings and the specific type of ring and costing RM50 ringgit. Next is the wrong use of the singular and plural verb. In extract 2, I mistakenly said "where's" instead of "where are," and I did not correct it. I believe it is a mistake that I should not have made in the first place, since it is something that could be considered elementary for a TESOL student. Similarly, the second mistake I highlighted is where I should have said "to" instead of "into," though in this case I do not acknowledge the correct form as I used to it and do not understand the use of "into." This correction ensures consistency in prepositional use but doesn't directly address singular or plural issues, since people and rooms are already plural. In conclusion, this assignment underscored the importance of flexibility, creativity, and continuous improvement in effective teaching practices. It also needs proper preparation in managing time, solving technical issues, and eliciting responses from the students. This can help me improve my teaching skills and reduce my teacher talks effectively. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and good day to Dr. Norani and my fellow classmates. My name is Dana ADREEN binti Muhammad RAPI and my metric number is D2022-11011955. I will share my reflection on teacher language proficiency. As I reflected back on my teacher talk when I taught the closure stage, I realized that I had made a lot of mistakes, especially in my utterances when I taught the students. Because of my inexperience in teaching, I understand that I should take these mistakes as a positive way to improve myself in terms of speaking skills. From the teacher talk during the lesson, there were 3 major mistakes that I can highlight in my reflection, which are overuse of fillers, informal language, as well as some grammatical errors. The first thing that I want to point out is I use too many fillers in my utterances. As I taught the students, I tend to use the filler in my sentences. This is a huge problem to me because it seems like I am still not used to English language even though I'm doing a degree in TESOL. This is because I need some time to think what I wanted to say and created sentences in my head before I can say it out loud. I acknowledge that using too many fillers in an utterance will make people have a bad perception towards my capability in teaching English language. Therefore, I know that I need to speak in English more often to improve my speaking skills as well as lessen the fillers in my utterances. Secondly, it is apparent that I use informal language a lot in my utterances, which was "you guys" whenever I addressed my students. The fact that I had to correct myself 3 times showed that I have a bad habit in addressing people in an informal way, though we were in classroom setting, where I should have addressed my students with a more proper manner, such as class, everyone, or even call their names. Lastly, after I watched the recording of our teaching, I noticed that I made some grammatical errors in one of my utterances, in which I did not consistently use past tense forms. Instead of saying "you thought that toys were needed because you need to play," I said "you think that toys are a need because you need to play." When I was saying this sentence, I was completely unaware of the grammar mistake I made, and I know now that I must be careful in using tenses in my utterances to prevent this mistake from happening again. To conclude my reflection on this assignment, I would say I am so lucky to have group members who are supportive and give full cooperation to finish this assignment. It also exposed me with mistakes that I might have overlooked before. I believe by exposing myself with these mistakes will prepare me for my journey in becoming an English teacher. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum to Dr. Norani. I am Muhammad SHAFUAN bin Muhammad SHAFARIZAM with matrix number D202211011982. Will be presenting my reflection for the assignment 3 of BIL3303 Classroom Discourse. The presentation will emphasize on the teacher's language proficiency. According to my teacher talk in the lesson development phase during the input stage and the task stage, there was a mass of mistakes that were spotted and may have a big impact on my teaching. As a future English teacher, language proficiency is important in order to teach smoothly and effectively. Hence, I have reflected on my teacher talk to improve my teaching and further increase my proficiency in order to not repeat the mistakes in the near future. I believe that my pronunciation is decent, though I do not sound like a native speaker. However, I will only mention 3 significant mistakes that affected my performance during the teaching session, which are frequent use of the filler word like, some grammatical errors, and the word phrasing. First and foremost, I have been overusing the filler word like twice in my utterances in a short period of time to explain the terminology or the meaning. The excerpt demonstrates my hesitancy and lack of confidence in my ability to give explanation to something, resulting me to use the word like to fill the gap to think about the appropriate phrase or words. As a result, I developed the habit of using the term like when describing things. Thus, I look incompetent and unprofessional to teach English to the student, as the filler word impacts my performance in teaching. As a future English teacher, this habit would undoubtedly make the explanation more confusing, and the students might have a problem understanding more complex and complicated words, as I fail to interpret the meaning with mannerism. Next, as the input stage in the lesson development phase held a pivotal spot in learning and teaching, I cannot risk making mistakes, especially grammatical errors, and yet I did a lot of it. In the utterance, I was unaware of the mistake. Pay attention for the information you need, in which I should use the right preposition by using to replace for. In addition, I was also using the incorrect noun in the sentence when I should have said listening requires a lot of focus instead. Not only that, I mistakenly stated you can call or you can catch the information that you need. Indicates that I was confused of whether I should use present or past tense, though I immediately rectify my utterances using present tense. Hence, I need to do more grammar practices and exercises to grow accustomed to the grammatical principles to eventually use the language properly. Last but not least, my utterance in excerpt 3 includes erroneous mistakes in terms of phrasing and constructing sentences. The word turn back is technically improper as it was redundant and both of the words held the same meaning. Not only that, in the same sentence, I was repeating the word can 3 times to find the proper word and pronouns. Hence, the proper sentence should be, I want to return to my park, can I? As seen by how much simpler and clearer to understand compared to the first sentence. In conclusion, aside from the excerpts highlighted, I believe that there are more mistakes that may have been overlooked due to my weakness and inexperience. My first experience in macro teaching has opened my eyes to keep improving myself to strive for the better. Albert Einstein once quoted, "Failure is a success in progress." Thus, I need to keep working on increasing my proficiency before going for LM and officially becoming an English teacher. That is all from me. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum to Dr. Naini and my fellow group members. My name is Muhammad FAIZ bin NORIZAL. Nomenclature number D20221101 and 8, and today I will be presenting my reflection on teachers' language proficiency. So without further ado, let us get into the video. So based on example 1 as shown, we can see how the first problem with my teaching that I highlighted is my usage of informal language during the teaching session with the students. In example 1, I hope that you guys to address the students participating in the classroom session in hopes that they will actively participate during the teaching. As a teacher, I realized that the usage of informal language with the students is quite inappropriate, as we future teachers need to maintain a certain level of professionalism in the work setting. However, the real problem with using informal language with the students comes from the impact that it might bring to the students' learning, as they might mistake the language that I use for the actual appropriate calling or way of addressing someone when conversing in a formal professional setting. Though it may seem small, As a future teacher, I realized that I should be the best role model for the students and provide them with the correct way of addressing someone in a rather formal settings. Hence, in order to improve on this, instead of using you guys, I should use class or all of you when addressing the students. Going to the second excerpt, based on excerpt 2, I noticed that during my teaching session, I had used the filler word so repeatedly. In my opinion, filler words, when used accordingly, would still be appropriate and acceptable. However, in my case, I had been using the filler word excessively, not just for that particular instance, but for the entirety of my teaching session. I realized that doing this can somehow give the message or the perception of unpreparedness to the students. As future teachers, we need to thoroughly understand and know that what we are going to deliver to our students during our teaching session, whether it is the delivery of our teaching material or even simply communicating with our students to elicit responses from them. We need to give them the impression that we are prepared and ready for the session. Not only that, I realized that my excessive use of filler words might take away the students' focus from the content of my lesson, as it is highly noticeable and the students might take notice to it, and it will eventually be a distraction to them. In this case, I realized I need to work further on my language and put in some extra effort and make extra preparation before delivering my content to the students, in order for me to avoid using excessive filler words. Going to the last excerpt, in excerpt 3, I realized that I repeatedly used the same way of asking questions to the students. Here, I realized that I have been saying "why is that" repeatedly throughout my teaching session. Though it is not entirely wrong, the fact that I have been using the same way of asking questions shows my limitation in terms of my vocabulary. Asking "why is that" was an attempt that I made in order to elicit responses from the students so that they will actively participate during my teaching session. This is something that I need to work further on and diversify my way of eliciting responses from the students, as we have actually learned plenty of strategies to elicit. Instead of simply and repeatedly asking "why is that," hoping for the students to give and add more to the responses, I can probably say "can you explain further?" or "can you elaborate?" or maybe even add more to the information given by them and ask whether they agree or not, and then further ask why would they agree or not. By doing this, it can help me to diversify my vocabulary, thus preventing from the limitation from happening. In conclusion, reflecting on my overall teaching session has been an invaluable experience that has highlighted several key areas for improvement for me. Recognizing the importance of maintaining professionalism through appropriate language use, minimizing the use of filler words to convey preparedness for me, and also diversifying questioning techniques to elicit student responses are crucial steps towards becoming a proficient English teacher. By acknowledging these flaws, I can actively work to correct them. I am committed to enhancing my teaching practice and providing a more effective and engaging learning environment for my students. This reflection has not only been a learning experience, but also a motivating factor for my continuous professional development in the field of education.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is SUFIA, and in this video, I will talk about my reflection on this assignment. So, our group decided to do an online lesson for assignment 2 on the topic needs versus wants, which centered around financial awareness according to the SBLC. The class consists of all of our members, which were 6 teachers and 16 students. I was assigned to conduct the feedback part in the lesson development and the input part in the post-lesson stage. Next is teacher proficiency. From what I can observe from the class, I would say that I frequently made a lot of mistakes and I really needed a lot of improvement in my terms of grammar. So, here is one of the errors that I've made, including its justification. Based on extract 1, I made a grammatical error where I mentioned "for more detailed explanation." The correct sentence would be "for a more detailed explanation." The mistake that I made was I did not put the article a in between the sentences. Using articles correctly is important in English in order to ensure clarity in communication. Hence, I should be more alert with a minor error like this so that I could become a good role model as an English teacher for my students. Last but not least, throughout this course, this assignment already helped me to understand classroom discourse as a whole by participating in a variety of classroom interactions. I also have developed an understanding on how classroom discourse influences as well as reflects the learning environment. This assignment mainly focused on the significance of the interaction between the teacher and the students. After a very thorough analysis of the dialogues in the classroom, now I am aware that teachers' teaching techniques are able to guide students' critical thinking skills